Let's talk about Florida here, guys. So Florida comes in at 4-4, 2-3 in the SEC. Let's talk about those Gators coming off, honestly, a pretty good game versus Georgia, a game in which if DJ Lagaway does not get hurt, I think Florida has a real shot to win that game. Do they? I'm not going to go out on the limb and say Florida beats Georgia, but do I think it comes down to a final possession to go tie or win the football game? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I definitely believe that. And I'm hoping DJ Lagaway plays this game because if he doesn't, guys, our defense isn't going to get much of a test coming out of the bye. And I think we need as many tests as we can get as a football team in general at this point in the season. Florida on the season, 27.3 points per game. That is 63rd in the country. 5.6 yards per play, 61st in the country. Third down conversion rate, 34.94%. That is 102nd in the country. They do not keep drives alive. Rush yards per attempt, 4.1, 77th in the country. Yards per pass, 7.9, 31st in the country. And a sack percentage of 6% exactly. That is 66th in the country. Defensively, 27.4 points per game, 78th in the country. 5.5 yards per play, 66th in the country. 4.2 yards per play or rush, 62nd in the country, and 7.8 yards per pass, 90th in the country, and a 6.76% sack percentage, so 41st in the country. So they are pretty good at getting after the quarterback. And their third down percentage allowed is 39.36%. That is 67th in the country. Overall, other than getting after the quarterback, they really don't do anything great. They're basically average across the board and everything else, and below average if you look on a Power 4 level. So not great, honestly. Offense for Texas, 37.6 points per game, 12th in the country. 6.3 yards per play, 20th in the country. 4.5 yards per rush, 59th in the country. 8.5 yards per pass, that is 16th in the country. A conversion rate of 45.63%, that is 18th in the country on third down. And a QB sack percentage of 5.76%, that is 60th in the country. And they have fallen a bit, guys. They used to be in the top 10. They're at 60 now. Defensive-wise, they are still phenomenal, guys. Number one in the country, 11.5 points per game. 3.7 yards per play, number one in the country. 3 yards per rush, that ranks highly in the country. 4.6 yards per pass, number one in the country still. And 7.06% sack rate, that is 36th in the country. So overall, Texas defense is holding up their end of the bargain. Now let's get to player specifics. DJ Lagaway is questionable in this game. I don't know how he plays in this game. This guy was carted off the field versus Georgia. He was on crutches. He was grasping at his hamstring. I don't know. Like, to me, that's a serious either tear or strain, which is the same thing. I don't know. I just don't see how it happens. He's on the season, 60.9% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 114 yards rushing, 3.1 yards per carry. He's a phenomenal prospect. He's not a phenomenal player right now. It definitely shows at certain points that bomb he threw versus Georgia was a hell of a pass, and he definitely would give Texas problems because of his mobility. Definitely the most mobile quarterback we would have played up until this point if he does play. If he doesn't play, it hurts because Graham Mertz is also out as well. Got injured that Tennessee game. He is out for the year. Leaves Aiden Warner, who's a walk-on. He's only completing 36% of his passes for 96 yards on the season and 1 interception. Florida is getting 21.5 points, and to me, that tells you Aiden Warner is going to play in this football game. If DJ Lagaway was playing, I think this is 15.5 to 17.5 point spread, somewhere between there. If Aiden Warner plays, Texas should cover that spread. Aiden Warner's not any good. I don't see how they're going to score the ball. The only way is if they create turnovers on our side of the ball with our offense, because our offense does struggle with that. And I've said this, guys, for Texas to be taken seriously as a national championship contender, Texas is going to have, to me, average 31 points a game for these last 4 games. We talked about that. In conference games, national champions, the worst one was 2016 Alabama, and they were at like 32 to 33 points a game. Texas at 27. They're almost a touchdown behind that. So that's unacceptable. They're going to have to get better if that is what our sights are set on, which I do believe they are because the talent on this team says they should be. We're going to have at least 3 first-round picks. So I just don't see why we wouldn't set our sights on that. Florida, Montreal Johnson, 373 yards, 5.3 average, 4 touchdowns. I think this will be the best running back we face all year. I like Trevor Etienne, but I thought Montreal Johnson was a better running back when they're in the same backfield. That's my opinion on that. My opinion has not changed. I said that preseason. I thought Montreal Johnson was the overall better back. Trevor Etienne does run behind a better offensive line, obviously. But I think if you switch positions, Montreal Johnson's a better player. So we'll see. I think he's the best running back we face. And honestly, I think if DJ Lagaway were to play, that would be the best quarterback-running back combination we played so far. No offense to Georgia, but I just don't think Carson Beck's that good. He turns the ball over way too much. I don't think he's as dynamic as a passer, and he's definitely not as dynamic on the ground with his legs. And I think Montreal Johnson is better than Trevor Etienne. They also go 3 deep here. Jane Ball has 323 yards on the year, 4.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. He's more of a bowling ball back there, not as elusive. Jacoby Jackson as well, 227 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. He's the most elusive, honestly. This team has a lot of talent. They really do. The wide receiver position, when I looked at them preseason, was really good. I like these guys. Elijah Badger, Chimere Adike from Wisconsin, the Wisconsin transfer. Elijah Badger, remember, is from Arizona State. Eugene Wilson, I don't know if he's going to play in this game. I don't remember if he played in the Georgia game. I know he's missed a couple games on the year. He's their best overall wide receiver, so it's going to be interesting if he does play. But that's a really good trio, guys. Elijah Badger, Chimere Adike, and Eugene Wilson. Trey Wilson, because he is the third, are very good players. Elijah Badger, 2 touchdowns, 560 yards. DK, 428 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Eugene Wilson has 200-something yards on the year, missing 2 games. So he's a really good player, guys. These are really good players. Like, I think all these guys play a lot of time for Texas. And Texas has a very good wide receiver room. So they're going to be able to challenge Texas. They really are if they have DJ Lagway. That's the thing. It really just comes down to that. On defense, safety, Trick Wheezy, Bridges, 42 tackles is their leading tackler, but they spread it around, guys. They have 6 guys with 30 tackles on that defense. That is an insane number. If you look at most defenses, you usually at this point in the season probably have 3 or 4. To have 6 is crazy. That means there's no one key guy you need to know about. Honestly, they spread them out, and it's going to be interesting. Now, the defensive line there is. Tyreek Sapp has 3 sacks, and George Gumps has 3 sacks. Tyreek Gump has 3.5 sacks. George Gumps has 3. So those are 2 guys off the edges you need to watch out for Texas. And I think this Florida team has gotten consistently better week in and week out. It kind of sucks for Billy Napier because I do believe, I talked about this on the SEC channel, I think if they go 4-8, he's going to get fired. And it kind of sucks because I think they're heading the right direction. I think DJ Lagway, honestly, would get better under Billy Napier. I think he does a pretty damn good job with quarterbacks. You saw that with Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz wasn't great at Wisconsin. He became a very good player at Florida. He's going to be a drafted player. Like, he's going to get drafted in the NFL as probably a 4th or 5th round pick. He'll probably be a backup in the NFL for 10 to 12 years. And that is mostly because of Billy Napier. That guy at Wisconsin, Graham Mertz, was gone. He was a ship without a captain, and Billy Napier changed that. And I'm thinking if DJ Lagway is able to play the rest of the season, they might be able to upset some teams. Hopefully not Texas if he does play in this game, and he might be able to save his job. But unless that happens, I don't see Billy Napier saving his job, which sucks for him. He seems like a good guy. I think he's starting to head in the right direction. It's just a little bit too little too late. Another thing I mentioned on the SEC channel, Florida hasn't had 3 losing seasons in a row, which most likely is going to happen this year since 1946, 1947, and 1948, I believe. It was in the 40s. It was a very long time ago. It was World War II era. So I feel bad for Billy Napier. I do think Texas can exploit this defense, especially, like, guys, what I think is going to happen here if DJ Lagway doesn't play, Florida's going to run out of gas on defense. I think they've been playing better, but they're not a great defense, and they're not deep on that side of the ball either, to where I do believe they're just going to Texas is going to be able to stop Florida from converting 3rd downs, get them off the field quickly. That defense is going to be constantly on the field. And then also Aiden Warner in that situation is probably going to turn the ball over, trying to do too much to keep him in the game. I think it snowballs here if Aiden Warner is the quarterback. I think Texas covers the spread coming off a bye and Florida coming off the Georgia game with the DJ Lagway injury. Again, this is if DJ Lagway doesn't play. I'll give my prediction for both. So if Aiden Warner is the starting quarterback, I believe Florida does not cover in this game. I think Texas wins this game 41-10. I think Texas easily covers. I think if DJ Lagway plays this game, I think it's 37-17 Texas, and I think Florida does cover. Both of those would go over, so I'm taking the over here no matter what. I just think it's just too much to ask for a walk-on to come in his first road start, coming off of a Georgia game where he felt all that pressure, the team as a whole felt all that pressure, and you get all this excitement for that game. Then you get your quarterback injured. Then you lose that game to go play Texas. I just don't see how this turns out well for Florida. And to me, guys, this is the last week, I believe, that Texas can prove that they're a national championship team, because you're coming off a bye week. It's late in the season. You need to prove to me that you can protect Quinn. And Quinn, you can't use Russ as an issue anymore. You've had enough time to recover. If you were injured, that was enough time. So Quinn, you need to play better. Offensive line, you need to play better. Texas, you need to establish the running game early and stick to the running game early and then use that to play action down the field in this game. That is what I need to see. Defense, just do what you've been doing. Defense has been national championship worthy. Offense hasn't. That's what I need to see from this offense, and I do think we see that. So those are my 2 predictions for what I believe will happen if Aiden Werner is the starter, and I believe DJ Lagway is the starter. I do think this Florida team is on the same caliber as Vandy. I really believe that. They just have a harder schedule and probably not as good of a coaching staff either. And that's with DJ Lagway. Again, I'm not saying that with Aiden Werner. So again, guys, that is my prediction.